Hello everyone and welcome to Rob's Rogues, and today is the very first review for the Batman the Animated Series action figures and accessories and vehicles and toothbrushes and toothpaste. You'll laugh because I have a toothbrush and a nightlight and things like that. So this is not the first time that Batman from the animated series has been on Rob's Rogues. When I reviewed the Fists of Clay, the Batman and Clayface 2-pack from the DC UC line, I had Clayface and Batman here on the camera for like one of the first times. And when I first started the channel, I really wanted to do a whole series of Batman the Animated Series in action figure form. And I started looking through all my figures recently and saw the large amount of figures that I have and saw everything that was going to take to do this. So again, like I said in the previous video, I hope you guys really enjoy this. It is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, is be able to share my action figures and the action figures that really got me into collecting the very first time. Even though I had action figures previously before this, stuff that my parents were buying, this was stuff that I was buying on my own with my own money, and being that it's Batman and Robin and all the other characters that go into it, this holds a really special place in my heart. So without too much more gushing of why I just love this animated series so much, for real quick, for some informational purposes, the show premiered on September 5th, 1992, in the first episode that premiered, and this was on a Friday night prime time at 8 o'clock. So that was the way that they launched this. And the first episode they showed was the Cat and the Claw episode, part 1. And then it went on to weekdays, and they went with On Leather Wings was the second episode, and it took another 3 episodes before you finally got to the second part of the Cat and the Claw. So that's a little bit of a history and backstory of when this all started. So the animated series came out in cartoon form in September of 1992. The action figures did not hit until 1993, I believe the winter, which is kind of appropriate right now, being that it's the tail end of January of 93 when the action figures started coming out. And they came out in small little chunks, or what we didn't know were called waves back then. And the whole first series, I don't know how many actual waves there were, but the first series before they changed the name to The Adventures of Batman and Robin were 33 figures. And you'll see that I have all 33 figures. And I was going to do all of the figures from figure 1 all the way to 33, but I'm going to be mixing this up so you're not seeing Batman, 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 Robin, Batman, 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 you know, Joker. So I'm going to be doing the whole first series of the Batman the Animated Series, with the exception of the new designs of the Batman the Animated Series. I will save those figures till the end, till we get through the chunk of the first animated series, if that makes sense. So without further ado, let's take a look at Combat Belt Batman. And as I've said in my previous video, if you go to my Facebook page, which look up Rob's Rogues, and I'll put a link down here, you'll be able to see all of the box art and everything that came with it. As you can see, I have all the accessories here, with the exception of one. With moving so much, I don't think, as I just launched the grappling hook, this, if I can get this out of here, this grappling, or this batarang here, this is actually from, this is 1990 is the year on this. This came from the Batman Returns, I believe, Bruce Wayne, and it's the same batarang. The animated series one comes with a rounded edge right here. It's in a parts box somewhere, and I thought this was it, and I think I just picked up the wrong one, but it's identical to this, except it's losing the bat ears and is rounded. As you can see, he has this belt here, And I fired the grappling gun and rope off. So I'm going to get that put back in. Now, this was kind of at the time, you know, I was 17 years old in 1992, so I wasn't really playing with the action figures, playing so much. Maybe kind of a little bit. I was kind of getting out of the, you know, walking my characters around and kind of playing with them. But I did love to set them up. As you kind of see, we have the Wayne Manor is going to be the backdrop for this. But I did like setting them up and putting them in some type of action poses. I never really had Batman wearing this, as I just launched it off again. We'll take the belt off of Batman. But you can see the belt here. A spot for the grappling gun. And a spot for the handcuffs. And on mine, even the day that I picked this up, I could never get the handcuffs in this tiny little groove in here. It always kind of wanted to, it kind of holds, but the first time you put this on Batman, his arm would hit it and it would pop it right off. The cuffs do go over the hands of the action figures. So you'd have Batman in cuffs there, or the Joker, or the Riddler, or whomever that person may be. So I always thought that was kind of a fun little thing, and usually I would put this on a bad guy and have, you know, Batman and Robin holding on to them like they're taking them to jail. The grappling gun here, since you've seen me fire it off a couple times, I do have a knot in here that I don't remember there being a knot, so I think from just having this thing in and out so many times. Usually I would wrap this around when I was done using it. But it does still fires really well and is quite powerful, actually. It will knock over a figure with no problem, with the exception of Batman, evidently. Either I can't aim or Batman dodged really quick. We didn't see him, but so this was a nice gimmick. This is a lot of things that Kenner would do, and Kenner's the manufacturer of all these action figures. So it only goes in one way, and I can't seem to get that way in there. But yeah, even 20 years later, this still fires very well, just like the day that it was made. So I'll set that off to the side as I drop it. Pick it back up, pardon me. And the big reason we're looking at this is Batman. And I was one of those that I always tried to keep my action figures in really nice, good, clean condition. So it kind of worked out for me that I wasn't, you know, 7 or 8 years old playing with these, because I think I probably would have been really hard on them. Take a look at the face there. Very much in the style of Batman the Animated Series, and I will argue even for 1993's sculpting by Kenner, it looks just like the cartoon series. The classic Batman oval there. Now this is back in the day of the 5 points of articulation, or as I like to call it, classic action figure articulation, or standard action figure articulation. So it's really basic. The head will do a full 360, although this is really stiff, and granted this is 20 years old, so the head did move a lot more freely. Arms go all the way around, both arms, and the legs go up. And what is really nice to see, since we've been in the DC-UC line for so long with 6-inch figures, I don't remember the last time I saw an action figure actually be able to get in a full seated position that looks somewhat normal as they're seated. And that is all the articulation. And back when, you know, your Star Wars action figures and things of this size and scale, G.I. Joe, this is about all you ever really had. So being able to have action figures that have all these different points of articulation, I would never have dreamed that we would get elbows and wrists and ab crunches and swivels and all these different things. To give you a size comparison for some of you, Here is the DCUC Batman, and as you could tell, there's quite a bit of difference, but the styles are very much the same, so one could argue you could think of this as the Batman the Animated Series figure, if you will. But we'll pull him off to the side. And something else I wanted to mention, I miss the days of cloth capes. Yes, they're really easy to get wrinkled, and a good way that I found to unwrinkle them as the capes, you know, come off here. And there's just a little plastic half circle in here. And I would take these and I would water them, and then I would put a book or something. I would open up the cape as far as I could get it. Or in some cases with Batman and Robin's cape, if they were creased like this, I would get a book and lay all of these points flat, put them on a book, and dry them that way, or, you know, something heavy to keep the capes all nice and neat. I didn't take the capes off and on very much, and with figures that had extra accessories, they required to take the capes off and on. So I like the look of the plastic capes on these figures, but I think something is said to be able to have a nice cloth cape that would just drape really well over the figures. So that, and if you want to set these figures down, even though they can, you know, set, their capes are getting in the way. So I kind of miss the cloth capes. I know some people don't miss them. I do. I think it adds just a little bit more realism to the figure. But I think this is a really, really nice looking figure, and being able to put him in Wayne Manor, or we can look at the top here to be able to have him up top, I think looks really cool as well. So this is just something that just takes me right back to 1993, when this series was at its height and its prime, and would continue to go on into 1998, I believe, as you start getting the Superman line, and more figures were still coming out. And I even think into 2000, Walmart was still doing some exclusive repaints and things of some of these figures. So again, we could talk about all the articulation in the world, and I'm looking at this as if this was 1993, and forgetting all this extra articulation even exists. I think this is a great looking figure. If you go to Amazon right now, in box, this Batman is going for $120. I saw one listed for $199.99. So $120 if you have this mint on card, which, you know, that does get you to think about collecting these figures that, you know, should I open them? Should I not? You know, had I kept this Batman in a box in pristine condition all these years, I could be looking at a $120 figure in just one figure. And I have 62 different figures over there. So I think there's something to be said for the mint on card collectors out there. I know there are quite a few. But at the end of the day, for me, there are some that I would buy duplicates of so I could have one in a box, one out of a box. But there's that part of me at the end of the day that a toy just really wants to be played with. And it even gets me thinking about Toy Story. I used to imagine as a kid when I would go to sleep that my action figures would come to life and they would be playing. And it was just so cool to see the action figures on the shelf and be able to get them in, you know, their poses, which, you know, back in the day, if you're going to have Batman punching or running, that's that's what you're looking at. The way they made these capes was always really kind of cool, that you could open up the inside flap and drape the figure in the cape, which I always thought was a really cool touch that they did that with both Batman and Robin as well. So today we've been taking a look at Combat Belt Batman from Batman the Animated Series. Stay tuned, because we're going to take a couple days off, and coming back Monday, we're going to be doing another figure. As always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues signing off, saying we will see you guys next time.